Hi, I'm talking with Judy Duchscher, who is a professor at the University of Calgary School of Nursing and who started an incredible organization in Canada called Nursing the Future. And she's written a story for the new book that I edited, When Chicken Soup Isn't Enough. And Judy, I'm going to let Judy tell us about this incredible new group.
Yeah, started out with sort of just an idea in my head, and motivated in many ways by my own experiences in the healthcare system with powerlessness. You know, as a nurse, you're moving beds and staffing, finding staff for nights instead of caring for patients. And I had an experience with my father that really motivated my thinking behind how can we help new nurses be the kind of influence in healthcare that they want to be, because they're disillusioned when they come out and they realize that all the things that they've dreamed about doing for healthcare and for nursing and with patients, they can't do those things.
And you also were bothered by the way they're welcomed or not welcomed onto the unit, right?
Absolutely. And I think my own experiences in nursing have not exactly been ones that say welcome and we're so glad to have you here, and isn't it great that you have this information. Even Nursing the Future has been a struggle,
right?
Because people, somehow nurses just I'm not sure if they understand the value that we have as a larger group.
Right.
And instead we're so consumed with fighting amongst ourselves that we can't possibly recognize or realize our strength,
right,
as a profession. So all those things have been, niggling at me, I guess, over the years. And I, because I teach nursing, I have a lot of experiences with these young nurses that I taught and then who want to be mentored. So Nursing the Future was about that. It was about bringing these young nurses together and ultimately connecting them with their community.
Right.
And giving them a sense that, there are people out there that will support you, and, sort of hang in there. This transition is sometimes a difficult one, but it's a difficult one, support or no support, But we don't make it any easier, right, by putting those nurses, those young nurses, in a position where they actually have to choose between the kind of nurse they want to be and being accepted by colleagues that
right,
have long
right,
forgotten what they want to be as
right,
nurses. And I don't entirely obviously blame those nurses. There's a whole system
right,
that doesn't support. And Janet Rankin does a lot of work, as you know, on the social construction of the workplace.
right.
And I appreciate the comments that Janet has to make about how these nurses are reinforced in their behavior by the way the system works.
Right. So you started, and first of all, you did your thesis and you developed a theory of transition. Mm-hmm. And out of that theory of transition, rather than just putting your thesis on a shelf and having it collect dust, you wanted to do something to change the reality that nurses, as opposed to just study and theorize about the reality. I think what makes you so different is that you decided you wanted to change reality. And so out of that theory of transition shock, you started an organization that began in Saskatchewan. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And I think, just going back to your point about action, I think there is a lot of research out there. But we're so busy, and even in the academic environment that I'm in, I'm already seeing how immersed academics are in research conducting, and not as much in taking that research and saying, what can we do with this research to move it into practice? So we're moving further into that. It's called knowledge utilization and
right,
knowledge transfer.
Right.
So thank goodness we're moving in that direction. But when I started Nursing the Future, that wasn't a really big idea yet.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely about taking the research and saying, these new nurses experience this process of transition over the first year. And in fact, in the first 4 months, it's a terribly shocking experience for them. And there's a lot to that experience, and we know what it is. So why can't we just identify the issues for those nurses and help them specifically with those things that they're struggling with?
So you have, in order to do this, you've started a group which has recruited new nurses. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
And these new nurses are in Saskatchewan.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us what.
They're all over the country now, actually.
In Canada.
In Canada, that's right. And the one component of Nursing the Future is to support new graduates, right? But the other piece of it is that these young individuals are bright and they're creative and they're energetic and they're passionate and they're committed to the profession. So we lose that. If we don't grab a hold of it when they first come out, we lose it. So Nursing the Future offers these young graduates an opportunity to lead. To participate in an organization that's helping nursing move forward, and they love that. They love being a part of that. So yeah, we have new graduate leaders right now, about 35 across Canada.
And you have members about what, 1,100?
Yeah, about 1,300 now.
And you have a conference every year.
Yes.
We
have a conference every year. We have a survival guide, which is what the grads call it. It's a 100-page overview of the stages of transition, and we're writing a second edition right now, so that'll be great. And we offer a website. There's lots of information on the website,
which is www.nursingthefuture.ca. But you do more, because you actually go out and talk to nursing schools, right? And try to help nursing professors and instructors do a better job of preparing students for entering the workplace. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. There are really four elements that I try to address. So that the preparation of new graduates prior to graduating, their transition, which is that first year, the consolidation, so at what point do they start to put it all together and how do you help them, and then the stabilization, which is keeping them in the workforce, moving their leadership capacity forward and embracing what they have to contribute. So Nursing the Future does a lot of that, and in fact, Suzanne, the graduates themselves, the idea of this organization was not about me in the organization. It was about the new graduates. So they just needed someone to facilitate that. And so now they're running with it. And it's the new graduates that are talking about the theory. They're talking about it across the country. And that's what needed to happen. And so I feel like it's been successful.
Well, and I've seen these graduates in action, because actually we're talking at this, what is it, 5th conference?
Yeah, the 5th WIN NTF conference.
And and the WIN stands for Workplace Integration of New Nurses. And I've seen these graduates, and I've seen their leadership, and what impresses me is that they are going to be a very different kind of mentor to the people that are the new nurses that they encounter as they move through their careers. So I think that right now you're seeing, if you have 1,100 or 300 or whatever people out there, that's a lot of people to make a change.
It is. And the one thing that I do need to emphasize, though, is the final sort of 2 interviews in my doctoral work were a little disturbing, because they revealed a horizontal violence within the new graduate population. So that even within a year, without a lot of support, without sort of pulling them into a peer organization where they know where to direct their energy, they were already adopting this sense that, like I'd hear things from grads in my study of 1 year, like, I don't understand about these new graduates coming out. And I'm thinking, you're a new graduate, and they just had already become part of that system. We have got to empower them to be different.
I think that's a great place to end, because the message is, not only do we want to help this new cohort, but we don't want the new cohort to become the old cohort in an instant.
No.
And so I think, when I listen to you, Judy, I think, you're talking a lot about bringing this across Canada and across from coast to coast. And I think once you do that, you have to start looking south and coming to the States. So I want to thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne.
And your chapter in When Chicken Soup Isn't Enough, it's really detailed about what you did and how you started this organization and how nurses can help each other. And Judy is a real guide to how this can be done from absolutely a kernel of an idea into a really viable organization. So really,
well, I'll tell you, Suzanne, it's individuals like yourself, though, I have to say that allow an organization like Nursing the Future and the work that I'm trying to do to be visible to people. I cannot thank you enough for what you've contributed to Nursing the Future, and you have several times, and I'm very grateful.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Judy. Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks. Don't leave that last part out.
Don't leave that last